Okay, so let's start in a seated position. Any comfortable seated position will work. I'd like you to be in Sukhasana easy pose or some version of that kind of a crisscross applesauce kind of pose. Good. And either foot can be in front. And if your knees are lifting up, that's okay. It's not a big deal. Do your best to lengthen through the lower back. And you can just rest the hands and the wrists on the knees. And find a sense of length in the back and the spine. And let's close the eyes here. And just notice yourself breathing. And let's take the attention into the sitting bones and imagine that there are tiny weights at the bottom of the sitting bones that allow your glutes to just relax. Allow your bottom to relax into the ground. And then take the attention up to around the top of the hip flexors, the whole upper half of the hip flexors, and feel the hip flexors relax. See if that allows your knees to drop at all. See if it allows you to feel grounded. And then with this grounding through the hips, the glutes, and the sits bones, see if you can leave the lower body as it is. And again, find length through the spine, and just notice if there's any challenge in doing that, or if any kind of tension fires up in the lower body as you start to lift up. And let's create some length and some space in the upper back and across the front of the chest. And let's hug the shoulders up to the ears and squeeze them tight, 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 creating lots of tension on purpose. And on an exhale, release the shoulders. And then again, lift them up toward the ears and pull them back behind you, pressing the chest forward in a very extreme way, and then release again. Good, and now let's change the crossing of the feet so the opposite foot is in front. Want to make sure we're even here. And once you've got that set, return to that feeling of grounding. Think of like a lead weight just falls into the earth. Just gravity pulls it down in the lower half of the body. And then in the upper half of the body, that liftedness. And let's take a deep breath in here. And on the exhale, just walk the hands forward a little bit, just so you can round in toward yourself. Just so you can round the chest down, so you can round the head and neck. And so you're turning inward subtly here. And take a few breaths here, also beginning to warm the hips up. But as you're here, just think about what it is that brought you to practice today. Think about what this practice is for. And then gently start to lift yourself up, your upper body up, and we're going to come all the way forward onto our knees and find a tabletop position. We're going to do a lot of work today to lengthen the trunk of the body. So right here in tabletop, let's start that work with a few cat-cows on an inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the head, neck, and chest. And on an exhale, tucking the tailbone in, lifting belly up towards spine. And just keep moving in this way in your own time, inhaling and exhaling. And really link the breath to the movement. And as you're linking the breath to the movement, think about that intention that I just shared with you, this intention that we create a lot of length and a lot of space in the upper body, and start to explore creating lots of length and space in the upper body now. What would that look like? What would that feel like for you? And you may also want to start taking a few other movements here. So you may want to start incorporating some twists or some side stretches here, some rocking back and forth, some circles, whatever would serve you, beginning to warm and create openness and space in the upper body. Good. And let's find a neutral spine. Now let's take the left foot straight back behind us and place the toes on the floor. Just press into that calf, stretching through the back of the left calf. And then let's lift that leg and cross it over the right leg and press into it again. And then we'll twist our gaze over to that left foot, feeling a stretch through the left side. And then we'll come back to center and take the other foot, so pressing into the right foot now, into the calf. Good. And then lifting that leg and crossing it over the left foot, and again pressing into that foot. And then taking your gaze and taking your whole body and creating length through the whole right side, looking over to the left, to that right foot there. And then let's come back to our tabletop position at center. Start to move into downward dog, taking the hands in front of where they are now, about a hand's distance, and really creating some suction between the hands and the floor. Let's tuck the toes and lift the knees and just hover the knees. Get connected to the abdominal wall and turn it on. Bring your attention to your sits bones and start to send them up toward the sky, beginning to straighten the legs, keeping the heels very lifted, and press the chest now back toward the thighs. Maybe you can straighten your legs. Keep the heels lifted all the way off the ground. Create as much length as you can in the upper body, and then lower the heels. Now let's pedal our feet here in this downward dog position, transferring the weight from one foot to the other, digging into the backs of the legs. And let's explore something here, pressing down into the right heel. Maybe it reaches the floor and maybe not. Not a problem. Point the left foot back behind you. Lift that leg straight up to three-legged dog. And let's flex that foot and just explore bringing the foot out to the side, the whole leg all the way out to the left side, straight out from your hip. And then we'll take it back, point the foot again, and set it back down. And just pedal the feet, kind of work that out. It's intense. And we'll take it on the other side. So rooting through the left heel, point the right foot back behind you, lift that leg straight up, flex the foot, and take it straight out to the side, and then send it back and lower the leg. Good. Let's lower our knees down. Let's take them nice and wide and rest in a child's pose just for a moment. I invite you anytime you come into child's pose to let go the weight of the body into the ground. Let the ground support you. And bring all of your focus to the movement of the breath. Just moving however it moves. Good, now let's reach the arms nice and long. And on an inhale, lift up, and exhale, we'll press back to a downward dog. Find some stillness this time. Make all of the adjustments you know to make, and find stillness with your breath. Now let's look forward to the hands. Bend the knees and walk the feet forward to the hands. On an inhale, you can lift up to a flat back. And exhale, fold all the way forward. Nice and deep forward fold. Inhale again to a flat back. Exhale, fold forward. And inhale, reverse swan dive up to stand at the top of your mat. Palms come together to touch. And exhale, lower the hands down to heart center. Good. Let's release the arms. Come and find your Tadasana. Let's have our Tadasana be feet right underneath the hips today. Tucking the tailbone, really lengthening through the back body, and this front body pulls up and then open up through your chest. Standing up nice and tall. Turn the palms to face the wall in front of you. Close the eyes a moment. Quick public service announcement. I will instruct Chaturanga today. If you don't feel it today, or if it's not even in your practice, you're free to do knees, chest, chin, or to lower all the way down, whatever feels good for you. All right, let's take a deep breath in. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead, gaze at the palms. Exhale, dive forward through flat back, reaching down for the floor. Inhale, lift up to a flat back, palms to shins. Exhale, fold forward even more deeply. Inhale, lift to fingertips. And on an exhale, step the right foot straight back behind you, lower the knee. Uncurl the toes. Inhale, lift up to Anjaneyasana. Taking a low lunge here, arms are reaching up to the sky. And let's breathe a few times. After your next inhale, exhale, lower the hands down to the mat and step back to a plank position. Inhale here to hold. Exhale, lower through chaturanga. Inhale, lift to an upward dog. And exhale, press back to downward facing dog. You can pedal the feet. Keep some gentle movement going through the flow today, if you like. And then let's point the right foot back behind us. Lift that leg straight up to three-legged dog. Open the hips. Take the leg even higher. Bend the knee. Pull the foot back behind you. And then on an exhale, let's step this foot between the hands. Come into our runner's lunge here, lifting the chest, but fingertips stay down, and rock forward and back. On an exhale, step the left foot to meet the right. Inhale, lift to a flat back, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale again, lifting to flat back. Exhaling to fold forward. Inhaling to reverse your dive. Bring the palms together to touch. And exhale down to heart center. Next side. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead, palms touch. Exhale, dive forward, reaching for the floor. Inhale, lift up to a flat back. And exhale, fold forward even more deeply. Get more out of it. Inhale, lift up to fingertips. And now let's step the left foot back behind us. Lower the knee, uncurl the toes. And inhale, reach arms up. Anjaneyasana. Also a low lunge. Breathe here. On your exhales, can you release into the shape more deeply? Can you let go of the tension around your left hip, around your right hip? After your next inhale, exhale, lower the hands, step back to a plank position. Inhale here and hold your plank. And then exhale, lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Pedaling the feet. Point the left foot back behind you. Lift that leg straight up, three-legged dog. Open the hip. Take the leg a little higher. Bend the knee. Pull the foot back, opening through the psoas. And then swinging through the chest, step the foot between the hands. Lifting to a runner's lunge, and let's rock back and forth. Opening the legs. See if you can really get into that right hip. And on an exhale, step the right foot to meet the left. Inhale, lift up to a flat back. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift to a flat back. And on your exhale, take two fingers around your big toe and clasp for yogi toe grip. Let's inhale, pull up to a flat back as best you can, and exhale, use the resistance in your hands to pull yourself down further. If your knees are bent, that's fine. If your knees are bent, Keep a connection between your chest and your thighs and reach the crown of the head down. Reach the sits bones up. Get a nice deep stretch here in your forward fold. Good. Release the hands. Inhale, lift up to a flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reverse your dive. Reach, palms to touch, and exhale, lower hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale, dive forward, reaching down for the floor. Inhale, lift to a flat back, and exhale, fold even more deeply. Inhale, lift to fingertips, and exhale, step the right foot back behind you, lower the knee to the ground, interlace your fingers this time and really press into the left knee. Second time through this low lunge, see if you have any more mobility in the right side. Let's really breathe into this here. Good. Now let's lift up out of this front leg, and we're going to extend the leg. So the leg is straight. And let's really work to get these two hips into alignment. So we're pulling the left hip back, right hip forward. Now inhale to lengthen the spine, and exhale to fold over this left leg. Maybe your fingertips are touching the ground. Maybe they're just touching the thigh. You'll lock into the deepest stretch for you in the back of the knee, back of the leg. And once you get somewhere that feels like it is for you, the deepest stretch for you in this shape, again, pull the left hip back. Good. Now wherever you are, inhale, lift your upper body into a flat back and walk your hands to the left of your left leg. Twist the upper body so that it can go off the leg on a diagonal. And maybe this is plenty of sensation for you, and maybe you fold. Good. Now inhale, lift up, come back to center. Step back into that left knee. Lift up, interlace your fingers, and press into that left leg again. Now this may be really satisfying for you, but if you're interested in what would be next here, you can start to explore lifting that, you can't really see mine, but lifting that right foot off the mat and pulling it in toward the right buttocks. Not better, not further along. In no way is it. It's just a different stretch. And if you've got that back foot, you can let it go. Take a deep breath in, and on an exhale, find your plank position. Take chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Inhale to cobra or up dog, and back to downward facing dog. Pedal your feet here, and then let's walk the hands back toward the feet until you come into a forward fold, and let's grab opposite elbows and give yourself a nice, generous hang here. Fully letting go the weight of the head.
And let's rock from side to side, getting some fluidity into our movement. Good, and you can release this and then walk the hands back out. Let's find a downward facing dog. And then we'll walk the feet up to the hands and fold forward over the legs. Inhale, lift up to a flat back. Exhale, fold more deeply. Inhale, rise to stand. Palms come together to touch. And exhale, lower hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, lift to a flat back, palms to shins. Exhale, fold even more deeply here. Inhale, lift up to your fingertips and step the left foot back this time. Knee to the mat. Inhale, lift, interlace your fingers and press into that right leg. Anjaneyasana. Low crescent lunge. Nice and deep into the left hip. Second time through, exploring if there's any more mobility at your disposal. And then let's lift up out of that right leg, extending the right leg in front of us. And then right here, see if you can really square those hips. It's an intense movement on its own. You could do nothing else, and that would be plenty, right? Now maybe you can reach the floor. And if you can't reach the floor, you're just gonna walk your hands down your leg. You don't need to put any weight on them. If you're near your knee, it's important that you don't put any weight on them. But find what for you is the deepest stretch, the deepest expression of this. And then once you've really found that, and you're rounding into it, and you're releasing into it, again, pull the right hip back even more. Good. Now inhale, lift and lengthen the upper body and walk the hands over to the right side of the right leg. Again, pulling that hip back. Feel your leg turn on. Inhale, lengthen the chest, and exhale, maybe you fold even more deeply into this stretch. Good. Inhale, lift the upper body, come back to center, and then press back into that right leg, coming into your low lunge once again. Just warm, melt into the shape a bit here. Get familiar. And then if you're going for it, you can start to bend the back knee, lift the back foot, and maybe get that deeper stretch into the quadricep. And then release the back leg if you've got it. Take a deep breath in. On your exhale, palms find the mat. Step back to your plank position. Take a deep breath in here. And on your exhale, lower through chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Up dog or cobra. And press back to downward facing dog. Good. Take a deep breath in here and exhale. Lower your knees to the mat, just your knees, keeping the bottom lifted, and start to walk your hands forward, exploring a puppy dog pose. Or hand or a heart to floor. If you can, bring your chest all the way down. Go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you take your arms out as far as you can get to comfortably. And if you can rest your forehead on the floor, you rest your forehead on the floor. And if you can rest your chin, you rest your chin. Good. Now let's lift up and start to walk back. And we'll come and find our downward dog once again. Look forward to the hands and walk the feet forward to the hands. Exhale, release over the legs. Inhale, lift up to a flat back. Exhale, fold forward more deeply. Weight in the front of the foot. Inhale, reach, lift up, reversing the dive. And exhale, lower hands to heart center. Excellent. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Let's keep them at shoulder distance this time. Take another deep breath in. And then let's sit into our chair pose. Sitting here in chair pose, let's inhale. And then exhale, take the arms back behind us like we're about to go skiing here. So pulling the shoulder blades back and directing the hands right back behind us. And then let's lift up off of our heels. Bring our heels up all the way. See if you can find your balance here in this toe stand. And then let's lower the heels and step the right leg all the way back to a high lunge. Inhale to reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale, let's come and find a warrior two. Now, check out your alignment here. Make sure that heel is in line with the center of the back foot. And really find your strength in this shape. Reach your fingertips in both directions. Left fingertips forward, right fingertips back. And find your gaze on your left hand. Just breathe. Feel power here. Feel that quality of warriorhood. Good. Inhale, lift up out of the front leg. And then we're going to turn to face the front of the mat and step the right foot out a little bit. So you have this kind of shape you want for a pyramid pose. So your feet are basically in line with one another. They're hip distance apart from one another, like they would be if you were standing up. And then let's inhale, reach the arms out to the side, and exhale, grab opposite elbows behind you. Inhale, lift and look up to the ceiling. And exhale, start to dive over that front foot, that front leg, Parsvottanasana. Again, we're going to do this work of the left hip tracking back in space. Good. On an exhale, release your hands and your hands can come to the floor. Keep working to bring the left hip back and the right hip forward. And if you need to step your back foot forward to do that, that's no problem. Now let's inhale here and lengthen the spine. And then again, walk the hands off to the left, off on that angle. Lengthen your upper body and then again fold into that leg. Come back through center. On an inhale, windmill the hands up, reposition your feet, come and find your warrior two. Inhale, lift up out of that left foot, turn both feet out, and let's come and find a goddess pose here. So really deep squat. It's a goddess pose. You could also think of it as similar to a sumo squat. You can have cactus arms, or you could take a mudra in your hands. Maybe thumb to middle finger touch. Good. And then lift up out of the legs. Come and find warrior two on the opposite foot. Make sure that your shoulders are stacked right over the hips. Make all the adjustments you know to make. And bring your gaze to that right fingertip, right at the center of the middle finger, middle fingertip. Good, and then let's lift up out of that front leg and turn to face the back of the mat and reposition the feet so they're extending directly out from your hip joints. Right away, we can do that work to bring the two hips in line with one another. And then on an inhale, let's reach the arms out to either side. And exhale, see if you can find opposite elbows. The opposite elbow on top, or the opposite hand on top, and clasping your elbows from the other side. Let's inhale, reach and lengthen the spine, and exhale, start to fold over that front leg. And now again here, the right leg reaches back. The femur head, it presses back up into that right hip socket as the left hip revolves forward. On an exhale, release the hands. Find some stability with the hands on the mat, and again, pull that right hip back. Inhale to lengthen the spine, the upper body, and exhale to walk over across the right leg. Lengthening your upper body, and exhale, fold over the right leg. Good, lift up, find your way back to center. And on an inhale, windmill the arms up and overhead, reposition your feet, find your warrior two. Inhale, lift up out of that front leg, turn both feet out, find your goddess pose. Couple breaths here. Inhale, lift up, turn to face the front of the mat. Come into your high lunge. And then step the right foot to meet the left. Come to stand at the top of the mat. Take the hands together at heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Bring them just shoulder distance apart. And exhale, sit back into your chair pose. On an exhale again, let's take the arms back behind us like we're skiing, headed down a ski slope just before us. And then come up onto your toes, all the way onto your toes. Just check it out. Can you sit back any more deeply? Can you fire up those quads any more here? And then let's lower the heels. From here, we'll step the left foot back to a high lunge. Good. Open up into your warrior two. Good. Inhale, lift up and out of that right foot. And let's come and find your feet for a triangle pose. Maybe they're a little closer together. Let's take a deep breath in. And on an exhale, reach forward over that front leg. And lower the hand. No weight on that hand. And then let's take the top hand to the hip and just revolve the chest up to the ceiling. And then let the arm be an extension of that. And then let's take the hand back to the hip. Look down to the floor. Bend deeply into the standing leg. Take your fingertips down out in front of your right foot. And then step the weight onto the right foot, coming into Ardha Chandrasana. Find your half moon pose. Maybe you're extending the top arm. Maybe you're just working to have the shoulders and the hips be flush with the wall in front of you. Maybe you're playing with lifting the bottom hand off the ground. Good, and now let's come out the same way we came in. So lots of control descending here. Hand back to the hip, bending into the front leg and stepping the back foot back. Finding your triangle pose. And then inhale, reach up. Now let's turn the opposite foot out. So left foot turns all the way out. Right foot turns in, and then take your whole body, twist it over to face the back of the mat. Now again, step your feet wider apart, as wide apart as your hips. And inhale, reach the arms up and overhead, creating lots of length through the side bodies. And exhale, reach over the left leg, reaching the hands down to the floor. And now let's bend into that front knee a little bit. Step the back foot in a little bit and press the right hand to the outside of the left foot. Take this left hand to the outside of the left hip and we'll work from here. So we're looking to come into a revolved pyramid pose. How we're going to do that here is we'll start by straightening that left leg. Maybe you keep your hand down on the floor. Maybe you lift up to your fingertips. With your left hand, pull the left hip back and twist the chest open to face the left side. Maybe you're here. Maybe you extend the left arm up. Lower the left hand back to the hip. Bend into the left leg a little bit. And then we'll come back to center here. We're going to step that right foot back to be in line with the left heel, like we would for a triangle pose. We're going to lift up and come and actually find our triangle pose on this side. So inhale to reach the arms up to a shoulder height. And then let's fold over, reach over the left leg and relax the hand. Right hand comes to the left hip and just twist the chest up toward the ceiling. Maybe the right arm extends as an expression of that. Triangle pose. And take the hand back to the hip. Now we're bending into that left leg and taking the fingertips out in front of that left foot, coming to find our Ardha Chandrasana. And you're working here. Wherever you are in this shape, you're working. Maybe it's to turn the shoulders to be flush with the wall in front of you. Maybe you're balancing. Maybe you're taking your gaze up to the top hand. You're working from where you are. And then we'll come out of this shape the same way that we came in. So the hand comes back to the hip. The front leg bends. And we step back to our triangle pose. Coming through triangle, we lift up and let's switch which foot is turned out. So now your right foot turns out all the way. And again, we'll turn the hips to face the front of the mat. And the feet are coming straight out from the hips. On an inhale, reach the arms out to a T and take them all the way up. Create lots of length through the body. Right here, do that work to pull your right hip back. Lift and lengthen. And after a nice big inhale, exhale, reach forward over that front leg. Coming to find your Parsvottanasana legs, your pyramid legs. And then let's start to move into our revolved pyramid pose. So a gentle bend in the front knee. Maybe the back foot steps in a little bit. The left hand now plants firmly to the outside of the right foot and take your right hand into the hinge of the right hip and just press back. You can't do it enough. So natural to want to come forward that hip to get out of that sensation. And then let's start to straighten that right leg if you haven't already. And maybe you keep your left hand planted down, or maybe you lift up to fingertips just to get some length in that upper body. And then we're twisting to the right side. And maybe you just focus here on all this length. Or maybe you extend the right arm straight up to the ceiling. Breathe here. And then we can lower this hand, come to the center in this big stretch, and then we'll come and find our high lunge over here on this right leg. And then we'll step the left foot to meet the right and come to stand at the top of the mat. Let's take the feet a little bit wider than the mat. And this feels good to me. Lots of work in the hips. So if you want to just wiggle it out for a moment, please feel free to. And then we'll take the hands together at heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale, start to squat down into your malasana, your garland pose, your yogi squat. Find something that feels good for you here, and then just kind of wobble back and forth. Just like really get into what feels good in your hips. And then we'll take the hands back behind us and we'll come and sit right on our bottoms. Bring the 2 feet together. Let the legs open out. You can rest back and you can butterfly the knees a little bit. Just bounce the knees a little bit. Introduce some openness in this shape. And then we'll come all the way down onto our backs. And we'll take opposite elbows and take them up and overhead. And this will create a little bit of opening in the chest. And you can relax into the opening in your hips and just release for a moment here. Just let go. A lot of pushing, pulling, twisting, opening in that sequence. So enjoy a little bit of surrender here. And then let's lift the knees nice and gently here. And pull the knees into the chest. One gentle squeeze, and then let's just let the knees fall over to the left and press the right shoulder down. And then lift back to center and let the knees fall over to the right. And press the left shoulder down. Not a lot of time here, right? Just a little something. And then bring the knees back to center and extend the legs straight out in front of you. Turn the palms to face the ceiling and give yourself this last moment in Shavasana to do nothing. Just be. And now our class
has come to an end. And you may really enjoy this shape. You may enjoy resting in Shavasana and want to stay here. And we are at time, so if you need to jet to your next activity, please go do that. Otherwise, if you want to sit up and just join me to acknowledge the practice, you can, but there's no pressure to do that whatsoever. Shavasana might feel really nice for you right now. Thank you so much for coming to practice today. I love you. Namaste. Enjoy your weekend. See you real soon.